So in today's video, we get a rare opportunity to see exactly what not to do after a self-defense situation. Now, I want to start this off by saying that this video is found on Legally Armed America's channel. He did an interview with a guy who was arrested for a possible self-defense situation. And this guy, unfortunately, sang like a songbird, and he said some things that the prosecution undoubtedly already has. They probably have the whole interview, and he's fucked. Now, I've seen comments on Paul's channel saying, "Oh man, you shouldn't have done this because you're helping him get prosecuted." Look, it's not on Paul to worry about this guy's freedom. It's his attorney's responsibility, and it's his. So if they agreed to do this interview and he said what he wanted to say, then it's not on him. So, oh, this is crazy. This guy Isaiah is in a grocery store, and this other gentleman comes up to him, looks like he bumps him a little bit and says some words to him, threatens him apparently, and then he walks off to check out counter 10. After he walks off, this is when Isaiah deholsters his weapon. So this is the first thing that he says that the prosecution is going to fuck him on.
I didn't, jump the gun and just pull a gun on him the moment he made a threat towards me. Because, like I said, had that been the case, I would have drew on him immediately. I didn't even draw the gun after he made the second threat. I drew it once he made the threat and started moving towards me.
He's saying I pulled my gun because he was aggressing towards me. The video does not show that. So I don't know what you're doing here. Maybe you're trying to make up a story for the show, make it sound like you're right. But in the video, it clearly shows this guy walking away from you and then you pulling it. Maybe a detail you should have not talked about. It's okay. We all get a learning lesson out of this. So the next part, Paul brings up a really good point in terms of what do you consider a life or death situation? In my opinion, if you have time to slowly walk around, if you have time to put down the items that you're checking out with very slowly, look around, all of this, I don't think your life is in imminent danger, especially after the guy just walked off. If it was, I imagine you would be flinging whatever you had in your hand and punching out. But just walking around casually, ho-hum, I'm just flexing right here with my gun because some guy talks shit to me, it just doesn't fly. Now look, unfortunately we live in a world where it's not the Wild West. If this was the Wild West, if you're out in Texas somewhere in a small town, sure, nobody's gonna care. But you have to understand where you are. You're in a crowded grocery store with a guy walking away from you.
Like I said, I said, man, whatever, I stepped away. And when I stepped away, he turned and got loud and irate and aggressive, and he threatened me again and started to approach me while he was making that threat. So not only did he threaten me, excuse me, he's now coming towards me as if he's getting ready to make good on that threat. And I think anybody in that particular situation would have did the exact same thing, if not more. I don't mean to sound cruel, but I venture to say a lot of people probably would have shot him.
Oh boy. All right, sir, clearly you didn't have a lot of training, but there's something called disparity of force. You use force in the manner that you need in order to protect your life. Someone simply threatening you, I want to kick your ass, I'm going to drop you on your head, something like that, just flexing on you, it's usually not going to be recommended that you just unholster your weapon right then and there, just because of that. It's one of the reasons why I carry several things on my person. If I can't get away from you, if you've grabbed onto me and you're swinging at me, I got this. I got a flashlight with a knuckle. Have fun eating one of these. If you pull a knife, and then if you pull a gun, I got some for that too. But my first reaction is always going to be, as soon as I strap a gun on me, I'm checking my ego at the front door, and I'm doing everything possible to remove myself from the situation. Now, it's a completely different story if this guy's in the store and he's shooting it up. I'm going in there and I'm trying to help people. But if somebody's simply flexing on you, it's not worth it. Walk away.
He had intentions on hurting me, and the only thing that stopped him was the fact that I had my gun.
If this guy really felt like he needed to show this guy his gun in order to get him to stop, why not just lift your shirt up, right? That's something very easy to explain to the court. I lifted my shirt up, I gave him a chance. But saying, well, I mean, other people in this situation would have shot him, just shows your lack of knowledge for a situation like this.
I'm some guy that you just walked up on and threatened twice.
Yeah.
What do you expect? You don't you should not do that. You don't go up to people out in public and start issuing threats. And like I said, and then when they respond to you or protect themselves, you get to say, hey, oh, he pulled a gun on me. Well, unfortunately, you got what you deserved.
Oh my God, did he really just say that? You just said he got what he deserved. So now your legal argument of, well, I was scared and I just reacted is gone because you just confirmed that you thought exactly what you did was the right thing in that situation. There's no ignorance of the law at this point with how much you've said. He got what he deserved. And now we get to the ultimate problem of this situation.
If this exact same situation happened today, how would you handle it?
I think I probably would have just fought him. I'm not sure if that's the right choice to make, but
So if you would have done something differently, you would have just fought him. I've been in quite a few fights in my life, so I can speak pretty confidently to this. A fight is worth it maybe 1 out of 1,000. Most of the fights that I've ever had were dumb. The only good fight I've ever had is when me and a buddy had no other choice than to just duke it out and have a beer after because we couldn't get past an argument. Sometimes it calls for that. But he asked you if you would have done anything differently. Your answer now is, oh, I would have just fought him. It wasn't, oh, well, the guy walked away from me. He was sitting over in the customer service section. I probably would have just checked out and left. So I've got a couple of thoughts on this and a couple of lessons that I think we can take from this. One, this video makes me so grateful that I have partnered with attorneys on retainer. They handle the trial. They handle anything up until the trial. They handle bail coverage. And these guys are extremely experienced attorneys. And I'll get into his attorney in just a second. But for me in a situation like this, I want the best of the best. And that's what attorneys on retainer are. So if you were in a self-defense situation, I wouldn't trust these insurance-based coverages. I would only go with attorneys on retainer. So we're giving you a $50 discount below the video. There's going to be a code and a link. Go sign up. Make sure you're truly protected in every area of a self-defense situation because as we've seen in this video, it's not simply, oh, I'm going to court. So I want to speak on his attorney for a second. I don't know him. I would like to imagine that he advised his client before this interview to have some calculated answers to things, some vague but truthful answers. Looking at this video, if I was this guy, I would say he threatened me, he walked off, and then he was rummaging through his pocket. That could mean several things. And he probably did. If he was there buying something because you have to grab your wallet, right? I saw him rummaging through his pocket, so that's why I pulled the gun. He had just threatened me, and I didn't know. Maybe he had a gun. I wanted to be prepared. But no, this guy says, well, he threatened me, and then he kept walking towards me, so then I grabbed my gun, which is 100% false if you look at the video. I don't know, this stuff really bugs me because if this guy would have just been a little more intelligent with how he's going about this, he probably would have had a decent chance in court. But he said so much in this interview. The guy deserved it. Thinking that you pulling your gun on someone just because they threatened you in every situation is okay. So here's what I learned from this. If you were ever charged with self-defense or any crime and you decide to do an interview, if you don't have perfectly crafted answers gone over by your attorney, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's probably not worth it in general, but it was his choice and he decided to do it. The second part, and honestly just as important, is when you strap on a gun, you can't have an ego. You just can't, or you're gonna be in the situation. So look, everyone knows that I am 100% pro self-defense, pro Second Amendment, pro taking care of yourself. But I think it's important to note that we live in a world right now where they will do anything and everything to prosecute gun owners. So people can't make mistakes like this, especially after the fact, saying the stuff that this guy said.